The year was 1889. In the bustling street of Boston, you're a middle-aged man working hard making shoes. After a long day of working in the factory, you come home and sit down to a cold drink and hot meal. The next day, working at the factory, you get lunch with a coworker. They seem a little sick and cough several times while you're having a conversation. They look sickly, so you suggest they go home for the day. A couple weeks pass by and you're not feeling the best. You've been coughing the past couple weeks. It doesn't seem to go away, and actually, it's getting worse. It must be the smog in the city. You power through the irritation, going back to work. As the weeks go by, you're starting to feel more tired. Occasional fever, you're eating less, there's a pain in your chest. Your cough is getting worse until one day you cough up blood. You pass out from the fatigue of working long hours and sickness. You wake up to a hospital bed, severe coughing, and you are admitted to Massachusetts General Hospital. You feel a little better, but the pain is still intense. It's hard to move. You're greeted by a doctor, and they start diagnosing you. They ask you to cough up some mucus and for you to open your mouth. And in shock, the doctor tells you you have consumption, aka tuberculosis. Sadly, there's no cure for the next 30 years. They instruct you to rest up and isolate yourself from others. You're now sitting there, dreading your life in the hands of fate. The death rate of TB back then, before antibiotics, was about 50%. You don't really have 30 years. You just want the pain to go away. Lord, this hurts. You rest as you're told, and your assigned nurse comes to take care of you. She seems quite cheerful and understanding of your situation. You hear talks of the nurse and how she's caring for the other patient. Her job as a caregiver is to administer painkillers to patients. After a couple of weeks of being under her care, although she seems a little off, you understand why the patients gave her the nickname Jolly Jane. One night, your coughing is especially painful, coughing up a lot of blood. Jolly Jane comes and administers morphine. Something feels off. Usually, you take it in liquid, but this time she injects you with it. You start feeling the effects. You drift in and out of consciousness. This is probably the best high you've ever gotten in your life. You no longer feel pain from your cough. Whoa, this is pretty good. You drift in and out of consciousness one more time for the night, and in the morning, they find your lifeless body presumed dead. You got so high you reached heaven. Just kidding, you were poisoned and died by morphine overdose, and your respiratory system had shut down. Though the hospital doesn't suspect it as that. They ruled the death by tuberculosis. Your killer? None other than Jolly Jane, aka Jane Toppan. She got away scot-free because there was no suspicion of foul play. You were basically at death's door due to tuberculosis. Jane would continue to take more patient lives working at the Massachusetts General Hospital. Although only 12 deaths were confirmed, 31 Jane confessed to, up to 100 more were suspected. Her favorite method of killing? Overdose by either morphine or atropine. She would derive sexual thrill from her victims when they're near death, holding them close as they die. Her motivation for killing? Most likely some form of mental illness, having sexual thrill from taking patient lives, exerting dominance and control, most likely childhood trauma. Jane's mother died from TB when she was young, and after that, her father, who was an abusive alcoholic, reportedly sewn his own eyelids. Her father surrendered Jane and her sister to adoption due to being unable to be the sole caretaker. Jane would finally move on to taking care of the Davis family. She would go on to claim the lives of 5 family members: Alden, Matilda, Mary Gibbs, Elizabeth, and Genevieve Davis. Jane's killing spree in the Davis family began with Maddie Davis, the wife of Alden Davis, in July 1901. Jane had become acquainted with the family after working as their private nurse. Following the death of Maddie Davis, which Jane orchestrated through poisoning, Jane moved in with the family to help the grieving Alden Davis and his children cope with their loss. Jane poisoned Maddie, likely using her favorite drugs, morphine and atropine, manipulating the doses to confuse doctors into thinking the death was due to natural causes. You know, I would think it would take skill and lots of repetition to be able to imitate natural causes for death and be able to just fool death reports. Shortly after Maddie's death, Jane turned her attention to Alden Davis's daughters. Genevieve Gordon, often referred as Annie, was the first of Alden's daughters to pass, dying on June 30th, 1901. The method for Genevieve? Jane administered a lethal dose of strychnine to Genevieve, which caused an excruciating death. Strychnine is a highly toxic substance that leads to violent convulsions and respiratory failure. As with her other victims, Jane likely stayed close to Genevieve, watching as she suffered and took pleasure in controlling the moment of death. After Genevieve's death, Jane turned her attention to Alden Davis, the patriarch of the family. He died just over a week after his daughter on August 8, 1901. Method: again, Jane used strychnine, one of her preferred poisons. Alden's death was relatively swift, and Jane maintained her control over the grieving household by positioning herself as a source of comfort. Throughout this time, Jane was likely manipulating doses of poison to prolong her time in the family's trust while maintaining her killing spree. The final Davis family member to be murdered by Jane was Alden's other daughter, Mary Minnie Gibbs, who died on August 13, 1901, just days after her father. The method: Minnie was poisoned in much the same way as her sister and father. Jane likely continued to use strychnine, which caused Minnie immense suffering before her death. Tragic. Jane had grown close to the Davis family, which made it easier for her to remain unsuspected and in control. Around the same time, Jane poisoned Edna Bannister, the sister-in-law of Jane's foster sister, Elizabeth Brigham, who died on June 19, 1901. Though not part of the Davis family itself, Edna's murder further reflected Jane's habit of killing people close to her. She used poison to systematically eliminate individuals who trusted her. Around the 1900s, I would argue that it's easier to just go on a killing spree, chain killing people. I mean, even Jane did this. Her victims are only a couple weeks apart, though granted she was captured later on. The surviving members of the Davis family thought, maybe 5 family members dying back to back isn't quite a coincidence. So they ordered a toxicology exam on Minnie, which determined that she had been poisoned. Local authorities assigned a police detail on Toppan to watch her. On October 29, 1901, she was arrested for murder. By 1902, she had confessed to 31 murders. She wanted the jury to find her sane so she could eventually have a chance at being released. Toppan insisted upon her sanity in court, claiming that she could not be insane if she knew what she was doing and knew that it was wrong. Nonetheless, she was declared insane and committed. On June 23, 1902, in the Barnstable County Courthouse, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity and committed for life in the Taunton Insane Hospital. She died there on August 17, 1938, at the age of 84. Toppan is often considered an angel of mercy, a type of serial killer who takes on caretaker roles and attacks the vulnerable and dependent. Though she also murdered others for seemingly more personal reasons, such as in the case of the Davis family, it is possible Toppan was also motivated by jealousy in the case of the murder of her foster sister. She later described her motivation as a paralysis of thought and reason, a strong urge to poison. Toppan used poison for more than just murder, reportedly poisoning a housekeeper just enough so that she appeared drunk in order to steal her job and kill the family. She even poisoned herself to evoke the sympathy of men who courted her. If you would like to learn more about an in-depth story of Jolly Jane and her deeds as a caregiver, take a look at the link in the description below. The book is free upon signing for a free trial. Just use the link in the description. Join me next time as we delve further into the next shadowy figure who was such a successful surgeon and even popularized the infamous procedure called lobotomy. Until then, stay safe and never forget the lessons of the past. Thanks for tuning in. This is Quandrix. Till next time.